Thank you, Emma and Layla, for joining me today for our Women Who Make It Happen series.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
You're welcome.
Pleasure to be here.
Would you be able to give brief introductions to yourself, and then we can talk a little bit more about your careers to date?
Yep, so I can start. So I'm Emma Bilan. I'm Head of Property Finance at NOMO for Product and Propositions. My background has been very much in financial services. So I started off in the mortgage industry, and it's a skill that I've kind of honed over the years. I think my first goal was to make the house buying process easier for the client. So as I worked as an advisor, it was really putting the client at the heart of everything that I did. And I did that for 6 years at HSBC, and then sort of got to the point where I could give the advice, but I couldn't influence the technology behind it, and it was very clunky and just didn't work in a customer-centric way. So that's where I sort of made the shift to work more within the technology space, and really just getting business owners to focus on putting the customer first. So I worked in quite a few of the big banks. I've worked at Coutts, I've worked with smaller lenders as well, really looking at their origination journey and seeing ways in which that they can enhance it, use new technologies. So I think my career has very much started off not quite sure where to go, but found mortgages, and it's been my niche for sort of coming up to 20 years now in multiple different roles, and quite excited to see what I can do here at NOMO. It's a brand new platform, clean slate, and see what we can deliver here.
Very good.
Hi, my name's Layla Hamidian. I am the Head of Property Finance, Sales and Servicing at NOMO. I've been there a slightly shorter time than yourself. It's probably coming up to 6 months. My career spans around 23, 24 years now, always in banking. I don't think that was kind of the career that I aspired to be when I went, aspired to do when I went to university, but fell into it by accident. I've worked at a lot of financial institutions, Barclays, Lloyds, HSBC, and then I did a big stint in the UAE in Dubai from 2004 to 2013, and worked for a local finance company out there. My background is sales, but again, also done mortgages. I've managed branches, been a development manager going around branch to branch or training staff. I've been COO. I think I'm lucky in the respect that I've been in the right place at the right time, and the opportunities have come my way, and I've kind of just grasped them and said, yeah, I want to go, grab them. I want to do that. I want to learn. And I've met some fantastic people along the way who've helped me on that journey. And then, I came back to the UK in, as I said, 2013, 2014, worked for HSBC, truly huge organisation where the opportunity to work in so many different departments is available to you. So I've done projects, not been techie, so that's where you and I complement each other, but worked in comms, again worked in Premier, and then my last 2 years I was in the private bank before I joined NOMO. So feels like such a long time.
Interesting journeys for the both of you, having worked more in TradFi organisations and bigger banking institutions. How have you kind of navigated or maybe managed that shift into a more tech-centric, customer-first, certainly smaller entity like NOMO?
So for me, I think I had that kind of training and background when I was in Dubai. So even though I was working for Lloyds initially, it was very small. There wasn't many of us. We were like maybe 150, 200 people in one big branch. And everyone knew everyone across all teams. So we knew who worked in finance, HR, ops, and working with 30 different cultures, maybe more. So that set me up for what I'm working, the environment that I'm working in here. And then I moved from Lloyd's to a local finance company, even more similar to what we're doing now, with, you know, limited technology, limited amount of resources, and everyone working together to achieve the same goal. So for me, it wasn't so much as a culture shock or an organisation shock as it maybe was. Have you done that before? I don't know.
No, so this was a massive culture shock for me, but in a positive way.
Yeah.
I think the benefits of working with NOMO is that, you know, we can walk into the CEO's office.
Yeah, absolutely.
We sit on the same bank of desks as our head offs, and there's no hierarchy here. So if I have a challenge or there's an issue, it can get resolved a lot quicker. So for me, the pace is completely different to working in a larger bank. I think working at HSBC absolutely set me up for a role like this, because one of the benefits of working in a larger institution is you can change between roles at any time. And, you know, whilst it's sideward steps, you're learning so much within what could be, like for me, it's always been mortgages in my niche area. And then when you get into somewhere like NOMO, you have to wear multiple hats. I am nowhere. I think I saw one list where I had 3 job titles, and you're spinning multiple plates, and I think it's definitely way more exciting. You have a lot more of an ability to influence decisions in a smaller organisation, and I think within a fintech environment, the connection between the technology and the business is a lot closer as well. So. I feel like we all have the same goal. We all have the same aim. We're going in the same direction. And like, we've had a lot of challenges over the last 2 weeks, but it's people just want to jump on board with you and help you. Whereas within a larger organisation, you can almost feel like you're lost. You're one problem in many. Whereas in NOMO, we're all sat on the same bank of desks. We're all in the same place. So if you need something fixed quickly, there's the ability to do so. If you have a new idea, I think this is one of the things with NOMO, the layers of sign-off approvals that you'd have to go through a bureaucracy isn't there, because everybody's got this vision of making this great digital bank, and no idea is off the table. So for me, it's incredibly exciting. It's something completely new, but yes, definitely a different pace.
It sounds like you've both had some kind of positive experiences coming into NOMO then with the shift. What similarities or differences have you seen, again, from that TradFi coming into the smaller fintech culture?
I think it's very different, if I'm honest. I don't see a lot of similarities.
But different from a positive, as you've just mentioned.
Yeah, it's a positive experience. I feel like sometimes I question if I'm still working for a bank, because it's more of a fintech. But I wouldn't say there's a lot of similarities. I think the difference here is that the team is the energy is very different from a bank. That I think we've all been able to shape the teams that we're going into, and the leadership style at NOMO is significantly different from the bigger banks that I've worked in. So I actually don't see a lot of similarities, except
I think it's, when you're working in a much smaller organisation, it's more about, it feels like it's your own small business. And I think that's what I loved about working in Dubai. I could see the results of what I was doing. It's tangible. You can see when, you know, you make a sale, it's a really big deal. And that shines through in NOMO. Like,
absolutely,
you know, we're doing mortgages. Oh my, what we're going to do this month, and everybody's excited. When you work in a larger organisation, that's you get excited for yourself. But you're competing a lot more, and it's not. I don't feel it's like that. And what we do has an impact on everybody. So what we do in a larger organisation, you're just a small cog in 200,000 people, you know. And not to put that down, because I learned so much being in HSBC about how to navigate a huge organisation and work with so many different types of people, and different departments, different things. But this is just, it feels like it's your own, and that's the difference.
Yes.
and we're really close. That's the bit that feels,
I get that impression,
yeah,
for sure.
it's like it feels like a family. I've worked with Paul before, so he knows what to expect from me, and I know what to expect from him. And that relationship has been cultivated for over 20 years, and we've kept in contact with each other throughout that time. And we were just having a chat this morning, and he was basically saying, I know what to expect from you.
Yeah.
I understand how you work. I want to work with really great people, and those great people I will always keep in contact with and build the network, etc. So I don't think, other than taking away experience from other areas, and I mean, I've worked with some great people in HSBC as well, not to knock that, but
yeah, I think what you've made is a really good point, the expectation from both sides and how you come together to make it a success.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the visibility, the transparency, and you mentioned that you can just wander to the CEO and you're all very open.
Yes.
Interestingly, you touched a little bit on leadership style, Emma.
Yeah.
What would you say is your leadership style for the both of you?
I question this all the time. I'm not quite sure what my leadership style is.
It can change though, right?
It does,
Yeah.
it changes. And I think this job has definitely made me reflect on what my styles are. I think I've always had a strong personality. I've always wanted to create something amazing. I've always wanted to put the client at the heart of everything I do. It's been what I started off doing when I was in my early 20s, and I still carry it with me now. So I think even when I look at a team, and even conversations that were happening yesterday, it's just bringing them on that journey, making people feel empowered. As much as it's my baby, it's your baby as well. I think that's really key, and that's something that happens in NOMO, is that, whilst I might be leading it, I want everybody else to feel empowered, but this is also their journey. They are creating something here too.
Yeah.
So I think if I was to think of a leadership style, it's to bring people on board to feel empowered, and to feel a part of something bigger, and want to achieve the same goals. So I don't think I have a specific way of managing, but I just want everybody to feel like they're part of this and what we're creating.
Yeah.
I echo what Emma said. I have quite a large team at NOMO, and I've managed myself. I've managed bigger teams throughout my career. But I think my leadership style is I lead in the way that I would want to be led myself. And although you put the customer at the center of everything you do, I think a lot of my kind of way of leading would be to empathize.
Yeah.
The empathy I have for my team, and to make sure that they're okay, and again bringing them on the journey with us, and empowering them is vital, because we can't do this alone.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's working together, and that's been one of the biggest things for me here, is I've brought two teams together who previously worked very separately.
Okay.
And I would say that they've come together in a way that we can, discuss a case from start to finish, and it's not that's your job and that's your job. And the power of working together, collaboration, empowering, it's vital.
I think sometimes it's like reaffirming what the end goal is as well, isn't it? Objective and pulling together, you're all working towards the same thing.
Yes.
So how does that then...
And the energy and the passion for what you're doing. I mean, Paul has a lot of energy, right?
A lot.
And we have to keep up with that energy, but you feed off it.
Yes.
And I think there's a lot of people in NOMO who are like that, and BLMA, they want to achieve, they want to make it happen. People are running around, and that motivates you and motivates your team.
Would you say that that's been really key in the fintech that it is, and to keep that energy and high drive up?
I think so, from a tech perspective.
Yes,
but,
absolutely. I think the energy is key. The team that we have at NOMO is so diverse. I mean, I'm working with people from different nationalities, from different parts of the world. I've never worked anything like it, but actually it's the skills that they're all bringing, and it's understanding the different skills that they're bringing and how it can shape where we're heading to. And again, it comes back to this having a collective goal and us all working together. But it is really key in terms of the team that we've created at NOMO and the ways in which they're working at the moment.
That's really good to hear. How do you kind of maintain that then, the diversity of thought, diversity of background and experience?
I think this company does this really, really
Yes.
well. And I think I remember writing on my comments after the first, is it 3 months?
Yes.
Something, and I said this culture fits with how I feel about the world, if that makes sense. You acknowledge every different culture, you acknowledge every different festival, personality. We're always celebrating something, and that's good though.
Yeah.
It's really, really good. And a large organisation like HSBC, they do. I mean, we had huge D&I focus, but this feels a lot more personalised, and especially in a Sharia-compliant organisation, there's a lot of things we need to be mindful of and respectful.
Yeah.
So I think they do it really, really well, and it really hones in on the beliefs and the kind of culture I want to work in. So
I think D&I at NOMO's a reality.
So
it's not.
I was going to say
it's not.
It can be a policy.
Yes,
it's not. It doesn't feel like that. Yeah, definitely doesn't feel that.
It's definitely a reality at NOMO in the sense of the recruitment is, like I said, I've never worked with such a diverse range, but equally, people encouraged to be themselves and bring themselves to work. You don't have to hide your personality. You don't need to hide a particular way in which you dress. Or we had a really great meeting yesterday, and the first question was, what was your nickname? And the different languages that came out of it. There was Punjabi, there was Nepalese, there was Arabic, there was English. There was all kinds of different nationalities there, and everybody felt comfortable opening up. And I think that for me speaks volumes. So when you talk about D&I, it's not just a policy at NOMO. It literally is lived, breathed, and we're all there in our authentic self, which I don't think you get to be at many companies. And as I'd say yesterday, my end of day was in a table, sat around a table, everybody saying, well, what nationality are you? We had the map up at one point, which I've never worked with people.
What meeting was this?
So I had told them that obviously my real name, and then somebody from the back of the room had shouted, "You're Punjabi," and I was like, "Yes, I'm Punjabi." And then we had a conversation about the fact that I was Punjabi, and what languages I could understand, and then the commonalities between our different cultures as well. And there was a good 4 of us all sat there saying, "Well, I'm from." One of the girls was from Nepal, and I was like, "I thought you were Brazilian," and it's the ability, but it's the openness which you don't have, is that somebody can shout at the back of the room, "You're Punjabi," and I was like, yes, I am, which I've never in 20 years in financial services been asked that question. So never been asked it, and never had it so openly shouted across the room, which was great. So that's what I mean. D&I is a reality at NOMO. It's not a concept, it's not a policy, it's not something that's forced upon them. And literally you get to be your authentic self.
And it sounds as though they've got it right from the get-go, because with a lot of, over the years as well, I've been doing this 19 years as well, you've had maybe this stigma attached to traditional banks where they've been playing catch-up, and it's now becoming part of the policies, and they now need to embed it, but it seems very intrinsic to the company already.
I would say that from day one, as soon as I walked in, you could tell it was different. Yeah, absolutely. It felt like I was working back in the UAE, if that makes sense. And it felt like I'm back in that melting pot of all the different nationalities that come together, and that we embrace each other, because we used to do that in Dubai as well, like celebrate Eid and Christmas and what's the Hindu festival? Diwali. And we all used to get dressed up and go out for Diwali in Dubai. So it's amazing. I don't feel, I feel like it's truly embraced. So.
And the D&I sounds very interlinked with the culture of, you made a comment about your genuine self, bringing your authentic self to work, which then it's almost like understanding what gets the best out of people, both from a culture, embracing the culture, and then from a management leadership point of view. Like, if you know how to get the best out of people, then they're going to thrive, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think at other places, you almost dim your light to fit in with the corporate environment. Definitely, like in my early years in banking, you had to fit in a certain persona, you had to behave in a certain way, whereas none of that is at NOMO. It's been a real sort of eye-opener as to ways in which banks could work if they adopted the D&I processes with a open heart almost, and that they wanted it to really be part of the culture, because that is what will bring on new ideas, new ways of working, a lot more of that collaboration and empowerment for people within the team.
Yeah. I was going to ask, like, it's a really, really key thing I think you've mentioned there. Like, what other things you think have changed, or how you think other companies can really adopt that D&I policies, the principles of it that NOMO are clearly doing so well?
I think it's difficult, and I think in corporate banking it still exists, the old
boys clubs,
and I've experienced that, and I think you've experienced that as well, and you have to fit in with the way that the team operates. It's like you sink or swim, and it is sometimes still a ticky box, especially in that white kind of male environment. We can learn a lot, but I think it's really difficult. It's hard to navigate, really large organizations to bring that to the forefront, because there's so many other competing priorities that it can sometimes get pushed by the wayside. In a small organization, it's much easier to do that, and for people to be heard, because they haven't, the impact is significant.
I think it's that tone from the top.
It is the tone from the top, yeah, and I think that's very prominent here.
Absolutely, but I think as well it's taking some ownership of it as well. As somebody who's been within financial services as a female, have lived through the boys club years, have lived through the somewhat discrimination for being a woman, getting married, having kids, all of that element as well. And it's really showing the next generation that actually it doesn't need to be like that, and that you can look at Layla or I and see, right, you've got two women who have become experts in their areas and are now leading areas. So for me, it's also pushing myself that there are other women who might look and think, oh, do you know what, I can't get into that role, I can't move that far, and I can't make it work if I've got a family, for example. So for me, it's really important now to start owning the roles that I have, owning the experience that I have, to show that the next generation, this is also possible. You don't have to fight in the way that we probably did in those earlier years, and that to drive a changing culture, that we need to be part of that as well.
Mm-hmm. And Emma, you made a really interesting point before about First Direct and what they did very well for parents, mothers with children. How have you found that experience yourself, juggling motherhood and being a leader in your work and your career?
So one of the key things I do as a mom is I bring my kids to work with me, not in person, because I don't think I could handle that. But
Definitely couldn't.
But as soon as I start in a role, everybody will know the name of my two girls, and I think it's about balance. It's not choosing one role over the other. It's being able to complete both of the jobs. I'm really lucky. I have a husband, I have a sister, and I have my parents who will help with the practicalities of any new role.
Yeah.
They are my champions in the background, if I'm honest with you. And whenever there's a new opportunity, and there's to start working in London, for example, I live in Nottingham. There's quite a commute there. My support network will not talk about if it's a good thing and the practicalities of it. We'll talk about, right, how are we going to make this work? So for me, having that support network has empowered me to be able to take on new opportunities, things that I wouldn't have dared to have done had I just been thinking about it on my own. So for me, it's always been about, one, bringing my kids to work with me, and two, really having those champions behind me. And I think at NOMO as well, the leadership team, again, we've had calls with a Pikachu in the background.
What's that, Mark?
Mark's little boy. He will join the call in his Pikachu outfit. And again, as a leadership team, we're all in the same boat, whether you're male or female. And it's accepting things like that. We had the call a couple of weeks ago where it was Mark's son's birthday, and they were literally knocking on the door, and we both said they wanted to go out for dinner, and we both said no, go, because as a man, he's just as responsible as his kids. So I think for me, having that support network and being able to bring both roles and to work with me is really important. How about you?
Yeah, mine's obviously slightly different to yours. I'm a single parent and I've got twins. I think nobody prepared me for the life of juggling.
Yeah.
And the fact that, I think being a parent is the hardest job in the world. There's no other job that is...
You don't know what it's like until you become...
Oh my God, no, of course not. And I really it was a real shock to the system for me. And I thought I would be able to go back to work and everything would be fine. And, I'd be able to juggle everything. I think the biggest thing is, and I've had to tell myself this a lot over the years, it's okay not to get everything right. The house doesn't need to be spotless. I don't need to have done all the washing. I can shut my computer at 5 p.m. and switch off and have that time with my children doing homework or whatever it is and not feel guilty about it. Yeah. And one of the, again, with NOMO, one of the good things here is, there's never any expectation that they want you to switch on your computer on a Saturday and Sunday. If we want to do that, that's up to us. You and I sometimes work on a weekend, but that's our choice.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just trying not to be, if I would tell anybody who's about to become a parent and is working in a senior position, don't be too hard on yourself. It's fine to get things wrong, to have a messy house sometimes, and to shut your computer off and spend time with your family and really, really try to switch off, and tell yourself you're doing a good job.
Yeah.
Because honestly, sometimes I used to think, I'm really not doing a good job. I'm not doing a good job at home. I'm not doing a good job at work because I'm spreading myself too thinly. So I just, for me, it's really important.
And I think the shock to the system is so true, especially when they're younger.
Oh, yeah.
Although one thing I would always remember saying is that if I can handle my 3-year-old toddler, I can handle anything that my work can throw at me. But I think we need to be able to show that you can do both roles.
Yeah, it has to be. We have to, because I think... in the older generations, it was, the female stayed at home, the mother stayed at home and looked after the family and the house and everything in between. And we want more from our lives. We want to be able to do that, do these jobs and have a family. Why can't we? And I think I also like always hark back to the fact that I knew when I had children, I wanted my children to be like proud of the fact that I went to work.
Yeah.
And my daughter does say things to me that makes me think that, which is good. And I've created some little feminist who, you know, yes, I want to do this, and this. And, you know, we went to see the Barbie movie and she came out and she was like, I need to bring my mother and my brother and my father to this movie to see how hard it is for females. So, yeah, that's the point I'm trying to make. We can do it.
Seeing
yes.
that both can be done,
Yes.
both can be achieved, and you can do both well.
Yes, absolutely.
It's
key.
And again, it's part and parcel of the reason we do
What
this
we do.
series. And
I think it's a really key message. I probably don't reflect on it enough and how much we're actually doing. In my earlier career, I was told, as soon as I have kids, that's it. My career's over, and just to stick at what I'm good at. And I think that's been the fire inside of me that's made me say, no, I'm not doing that. I'm a girl mum as well. So I look at my two daughters and I don't want them to fight in the way that I did, but I also want them to have that drive and determination and look at mum and say, my mum worked and managed us and made sure our homework was done, because it is possible. You just need to tell people that's what you're doing. And I will openly say, nope, do you know what? I've got a performance on this day. You know, if you ever see my calendar, it will have parents' evenings in there. It will have one of them's going on a sleepover this weekend, because
do that as well.
Yeah, because but I want people to see that as well. I want them to be able to see that there is this other side. And I was reflecting in the office yesterday that there are a lot of younger women in our office, and they're looking to us, and it's to say, look, yes, you can have the careers, but also you can see that I'm still a mum. It's not something that I'm hiding.
you don't have to choose.
You don't have to choose, which is really, really key. So I think I'm reflecting a lot more on the next generation that are coming in, the next set of females who are sat there saying, Emma, how do you do this? And, oh my gosh, I can't believe you do this, and you're a mum and you live in Nottingham as well. And it's like, no, it's fine. You can do it. It's not the end of it. It's hard, don't get me wrong, but there are so many positives of this. I look at my career and there's so many things that I'm achieving at the minute, which I would have never signed up to beforehand. And then there's also, I look at my girls and I look at what they're achieving, and I look at the fact that my 12-year-old still wants to hang out with me. I think that is one problem.
That makes a lot of difference.
It does, and so I think it's just being able to articulate that to the next generation coming up, is that we are living proof that whether you have a massive support network or you're a mum who's like managing everything. Sometimes I look at you and I think, I don't know how she's doing it. Like, who's making her dinner?
Me.
And all this. So I think I want them to look at both Layla and I and think, yep, do you know what? They've worked in financial services, they've built their careers, and they've got a family as well. And we're spinning all these places. It is possible.
The art of the possible. Basically, like, ladies, you can do it.
Yes.
I think that's what we are
can do
showing
it.
them. I do want to just come back to a point, Layla, I think you made it, about learning from people throughout your career. I just wondered if you had specific coaches or mentors that you've been able to learn that from, and what might you be giving back to younger females?
I've had female mentors, I've had male mentors, and I've been a mentor, and I've always felt like that giving back and sharing my experience with others has been, you know, invaluable. I don't think that I would have progressed as much, especially in the UAE, if I hadn't have had that guidance, because I was in the right place at the right time. The opportunity was there.
Sometimes you create it.
And I did, I did. And I did create a lot of as well, of course, yeah. But I was learning so much. I was young and I was I just was taking every opportunity that was given. Brave in that respect, that I just wanted to, I want to do that, I want to learn about that, I want to go and do that. And it paid dividends. And I think you reflect on that, especially after you have children. I mean, after I was like, wow, what did I just do the last 10 years type of thing. But at the same time, sometimes I feel I can be a little bit like humble, and I need to shout a little bit more about my achievements. And I think you're probably worse than me, are you?
Absolutely.
Well, you're joining me here today, ladies, so
I constantly say to them, I'm like, you're so intelligent, you know all of that. I mean, the tech stuff, I literally it just goes way above my head. But and that's, I think, how we complement each other. We know our own strengths, and we know our weaknesses, and we know what we're good at. But it's always been beneficial for me just to have that sounding board there. And I think when I was in HSBC, Paul was that sounding board for me. We used to meet regularly and talk, but I also had other people that I would reach out to, building a network. And I think it's beneficial for anyone. And I do say that to some of my direct reports, what is it you want to do? What do you want to do next? Is there someone here who you aspire to be, or outside of work? Do you talk to them regularly about, your career and what you want to do? And for me, definitely. I don't know about you in terms of mentor or
I'm the exact opposite. I've never had a mentor.
Really?
Absolutely controversial. Never had a mentor and never had a coach.
Yeah, I have.
I am the queen of imposter syndrome. I think you know that very well. But for me, one of the things I've really learned over my careers is the benefit of working with other women. I think in my earlier career, you find that traditionally women would pit against each other, and you had to compete against each other. For me, it's now understanding that when we absolutely don't compete with each other at one point, but we understand each other's strengths and also understand each other's weaknesses. So we can come to each other, and I can say, my imposter syndrome is raising its ugly head. And Layla will absolutely help me in that scenario. I think from a mentorship, I look and I learn. So I can say that I've had some great female leaders in the banks that I've worked in. And what they've really taught me is that we don't have to follow the mold. There's no predefined way in which you can be a leader. And that actually bringing yourself to work, your personality is really key. And I see these women now who have gone on to be heads of private banks elsewhere. And one of my managers at HSBC, when I'm having a hard day at NOMO, I'd sit there and think, right, what would she do? How would she manage this? Because they were cool-headed, real sort of strategic women, and really sort of embodied the type of woman I want to be and the type of leader I want to be. So I think I have an action to take that I need to work on my mentoring and coaching.
No, not at all, because you're just doing it in a different way. Because I think I probably look at someone and from the opposite, because you look and you learn and you think, well, I definitely don't want to lead like that or manage like that. And you know what I mean?
What you want to be,
what you want and what you don't, and you do that.
I do it the opposite. I do the what do I want to be, and then I'll see these women and think, right, actually, I just want to be me at work, but I want to be really strong and I want to be strategic. But equally, I can see that I am allowed to be me at work as well. So I think I just manage it slightly differently. But I am incredibly lucky for the women that I've worked with over the years and have supported me and taught me these new skills over the years. I think with whether it be HSBC, First Direct had a really, really strong female leadership team, predominantly due to the fact that you could have a nursery on site. So these women were able to work. It was good. So from a year,
never had that.
Yeah, exactly. So they were able to have the children in nursery, and actually they credit that to being the reasons why they were able to progress their career as well. So I just think there's been a lot of snippets of women throughout my career who have really shaped the person that I've become now.
I don't think it's not just females in leadership either. I've learned a lot from the experienced ladies that I've worked with over the years. You know, been in banking 30 plus years when I've joined, and they know every little detail about everything, and you can learn so much from those people as well. The experience, the knowledge, and you can literally take what they've learned and apply it yourself, and it works wonders, you know, in terms of how we motivate and go forward.
Yeah,
I'm rambling now.
And from your experience then of having those ladies that you've learned from and who've helped you throughout your careers, what advice would you impart, or words of wisdom, onto younger females coming through, or younger talent generally coming through?
So I always say that for me it's three things. One, work out, just focus on what you're doing, don't worry about what the others are doing.
Yeah.
Work out what their strengths are, because there's more success in collaborating than trying to be the best at everything. It's just not possible. And then I would always say that you focus on the facts. Like in a very challenging situations, you can get really caught up with the emotions, but actually when you focus on the facts, it gives you that little bit more clarity, and it builds your confidence as well, because you're able to go forward with a clear view as to what you want to do. Mm-hmm. And then finally, one of the best pieces of advice I ever got was to take a risk. And it's not a risk that's going to fail, it's a risk that's going to teach you something. One of my managers at HSBC, I think it was First Direct actually, she had said to me that for the right roles, you don't need to make it work, they will make it work for you. And that's how you know that you're going to the right place. So don't ever be scared to take a step because you don't think it's going to work. It will work if it's the right job for you. So those are my three things, is just to focus on the facts, don't compete with anybody. I've probably learned that the hard way. And just take that risk, because it's a lesson, not a risk.
I think some of that's a mindset thing though as well. It's trying to look at it with a positive lens, which comes maybe more naturally or easier to others than some. But how about you?
I would say be brave, and don't be afraid to make a mistake, because you learn from that. You really, really do. And I think one of my first managers was like, I will back you 100%. If you feel that you've done what you did was the right decision, please don't be afraid to make a mistake. And I always felt quite calm in that way when that was the situation, if that situation ever occurred. Be brave, don't be afraid to make a mistake, and ask questions, learn, embrace what you're doing. If it's the wrong role for you, you can move on to something else. But just enjoy it, have fun. Yeah. There's no point in going to work not to have fun these days. Seriously, there really isn't. And I'm sure, as we've just said, we've worked in some questionable teams in the past. You learn from it. Everywhere I've worked, every role I've done, I've learned something. And whether I take that on to another role, then
Well, thank you both. Some really key pieces of advice there, I think a really powerful message. So thank you both for sharing a bit more about your stories.
Thank you.